So Gundam Extreme Versus is the best 2v2 fighting game, the best arena fighting game, and one of my personal favorite fighting games of all time. And if it feels like this is kind of coming out of nowhere, I'm presenting this to you with a sense of urgency because I just found out that it is on sale on PlayStation Network for half off for only the next few days. All right, I was a little bit late to the party. I just found out. But now that I've got a little bit of an audience, I'm really excited to be able to highlight games that I think are underrated and float under the radar just a little bit too much. So here's a little introduction to Gundam Extreme Versus. Now, first things first, this game actually has a really lively online community. You don't want to go to ranked match. What you want to do is go to player match. You want to search for a room, and right down here where it says country and region restrictions, you want to set that to worldwide. And at pretty much any time of the day, any time of night, you should be able to find at least one lobby that has a bunch of people in it that you can play with. Now, if you want effectively a training room, what I recommend doing is coming over here to free battle. And what you can do is in mobile suit settings, set all of these AI to CPU level inactive, right? All three of these. And then in battle settings, you want to set this timer to infinite, and you want to set the force gauge for both teams to infinite as well. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the game and how it works. First of all, this game can be played just as well on a stick or with a regular PS4 or PS5 pad. Does not matter. This is a 4-button game. You have a shoot button, which I will hereby refer to as A. You have a melee button, that I will hereby refer to as B. You have a boost button, which is what I'm doing right here, that I will hereby refer to as C. And you have D, which switches between your two targets. However, you can also do different moves by combining these buttons. So for example, my A is different from my A plus B, right? I also have an A plus C, and I have a B plus C. In fact, I have multiple different B plus Cs, because if I were to hold back and push B plus C, I get this guy. Whereas if I push to the side and push B plus C, I get this guy. And in the bottom right, you can see now that I've used B plus C a bunch, I actually have to wait for it to refill. And now I can use it again. Our boost is also a resource, and it's probably the most important resource in the game. You see, as I move around, that boost bar down at the bottom gets filled. And the more empty it is when I finally do stop and land, the longer that landing recovery is. So for example, if I just do this, I recover pretty fast. But if I go all the way to the end, it takes me quite a bit of time to be able to do anything after that. And so the game usually consists of moving around, shooting at your opponent, encouraging them to move a bunch, and then once you think they have to land and recover some of their boost, going in for like a decisive attack. Now in terms of movement, to boost around, you want to double tap C, or the boost button, while pushing in a direction. But you can also double tap a direction to do a step. And a step is different because while it also uses boost, it moves less fur. Less fur? What the fuck? It moves less far, but it dislocates projectile tracking. So if somebody is shooting a projectile that's tracking onto your location, stepping will dislocate the tracking. And also, I recommend doing what I just did whenever you stop your movement. This is called a FUA step. So if I'm moving around a bunch and I have to land, what I'll do is I'll step and then I'll tap the boost button. Tapping is how you do this little hop. And the reason why that's so good is because I'm stepping to dislocate projectiles that are homing onto me, but I'm also doing this little tap, which doesn't cost much more meter, but carries me a good distance, right? Another thing you want to know is that when you are shooting at somebody, you want to try to be in this red lock range. If we're back here and we're in green lock range, then our projectiles are not tracking onto the opponent. But so long as we're in red lock range, all of our projectiles track onto the opponent. Well, with a few exceptions, like, I guess, beams. And another thing that might be appealing about this game is that combos in it aren't particularly difficult either. A really basic concept in neutral is like shoot, boost, shoot, boost, right? And that'll just knock somebody down. You notice that when they're knocked down, by the way, the reticle turns yellow because they're invulnerable. They can't be shot until they get back up. But if we wanted to do like even a melee combo, these are really simple too. Melee, melee, step, melee, melee, step, melee, melee. Right. Done deal. Or, I mean, you could even do something simpler than that, really. And this isn't to say that this game isn't complex. It's very complex. However, the complexity isn't in your ability to execute the moves or not. It's in your ability to make sound decisions for the game state and for your partner, right? So I figured we'd just talk a little bit about a match. I feel like I played all right in this one. It's It's a little sloppy at the beginning, but I sort of put the pieces together and figure it out. When you're first playing this game and you're looking at all of the different resources, you'll see this concept of like a forward and back. And I actually don't recommend that you focus on this when you're a new player. What you want to focus on is just staying alive. Both teams have this point total that is represented up at the top. They both have 6,000 points. And the different suits that are on the team can cost different values. So some cost 1,500, some cost 2,000, some cost 2,500, some cost 3,000. And so what happens is that when either one of the suits on your team dies, their cost is reduced from your team's total. So if you're playing a 3K suit and you die, your team is halfway to losing the game already. So if you're running in and you're getting hit a lot and you're dying frequently, then it's a really heavy burden on your teammate to be able to pick up the slack. And this is a very social game. You don't want to be a burden on your teammate. It's gonna be bad news. Okay, trust me, been there. So in this game, I'm playing as Strike Noir. It's a very, very mobile suit. That's a little ironic, isn't it? But he's got these gun kata flips to either side. You could kind of see that there. And he's also got this grappling hook that he can use to get out of certain situations. And really what you want to do with a suit like this is just poke around, harass the opponent, try to force them to land with all of these different lasers, and then use that move right there, A plus B, to snipe somebody once they stop moving, or at least move at you in a linear type of way. There is also bursts right on cue. Thanks, past me. There are 3 different types of bursts in the game. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know all the details for all of them, but there is a shooting burst, an extend burst, and a fighting burst. I'm gonna get hate from the Gundam community for saying this, but if you're new, I would recommend just taking extend burst. The really big benefit of it is that if you are at half a bar, like you've got one of your 2 bars filled, you can just use the burst and get you out of combos, which is a little bit forgiving for a new player. So not optimal, but what I would personally recommend. All right, next replay. Ironically, we had a double Strike Noir match, so just played it lame and kept out. But yeah, ideally we just want to play safe. I'm not really going in for any melees at any point in these matches. No need to. I can just poke around at these characters, move around a bunch, and use a simple tool when they stop moving, like right there. Playing away, again, not trying to engage too much. You want to try to keep track of where your ally is on the minimap up at the top right, which is hard to do in these situations, I know, but playing alongside or like at an off angle with your teammate can be really, really beneficial. If you two get separated, sometimes that can mean the death of you. If there's a really good like dueling unit on the other team that really wants to take 1v1 fights, don't want that to happen. Especially because in this game, having the flexibility to be able to protect your partner is a really big deal. So if they happen to be getting comboed by one of the enemy suits, you can sort of flick over and try to shoot that target off of your opponent so that they don't get the full damage of the combo. Or at the very least, if they do get the full damage, it's at least a trade of some sort, right? So I'm the first to go down. Not ideal. That person, I thought I had him, but they actually blocked that move. Blocking, by the way, you can do by tapping back and then forward really quick. I forget that this fucking mechanic exists all the time, and I'm just bad for it. Like, I really need to be implementing blocking. Hey, look, that was an opportunity to block right there, and another. Fight this man. Yeah. If you are in your burst mode, you have access to your super, which is what you just saw right there. They all have really flashy animations, and it's just A plus B plus C while you are in burst. Burst, by the way, is also A plus B plus C. I really should have touched on all these things when I was doing that tutorial part of the video, huh? Over here, my teammate is getting rock'em sock'em, so I need to shoot him off of him. Trying to run away from this man. He's very aggravated with me for winning the match. A little bit of lag here. This was not in the game. It's only in the footage. But I'd like to think that it adds to the experience, and then we shoot that guy, and we win the match. So that was Gundam Extreme Versus. If you haven't given it a shot before, I do highly recommend it. It's one of those games that when it's available in the arcade room of any given major, I just camp out on the thing. I can't help but just spam matches over and over and over. It's so much fun, and it's so addictive. And I really hope that we get additional support for this series from Bandai at some point in the future. So let me know if you intend to pick it up. I think it would be really fun to get like some lobbies going with the community and stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.